last night, the San Francisco 49ers drafted a wide receiver. Rob G, give us the whole breakdown, because the talk is that it could lead to them sending either Brandon Aiyuk or Deebo Samuel out the door in a trade. So break down the situation for us.
Sure. So leading up into the first round of the draft, it was reported by multiple outlets on Thursday that the 49ers were looking to package either Brandon Aiyuk or Deebo Samuel in a trade to move up into the top 10. We don't know who they were looking to target, but that was what the reports were. Obviously, that never came to be. However, that doesn't mean that they're going to stop shopping those two players. According to Mike Silver, currently works for the San Francisco Chronicle. He's been covering Bay Area sports, longer than I've been alive, it feels like. He said that even though neither of those trades materialized on Thursday, the team is still actively looking to make a move. In fact, he tweeted out late on Thursday night in the overnight hours that the Niners are actually more likely to deal Deebo Samuel than Brandon Aiyuk. And in fact, other outlets have since piled onto that report, adding that the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots are two teams that are said to have serious interest in either of those two receivers.
Rob, what are your thoughts on that if they move Aiyuk or Deebo? They drafted Ricky Pearsall out of Florida.
Then I'm not sure where are the 49ers going? Home dinner, maybe a show? I mean, what? Like, don't you have a Super Bowl
money? That's why
possibility, Chris. I know. I mean,
that's what they're. Yeah.
I just don't understand it. Like you just lost, right? Didn't you just lose in the Super Bowl, or am I thinking 5 years ago? Like I thought. That
think this. Okay, go ahead.
I'm just saying. I'm not trying to get rid of those players when I'm that close. Those kind of players. What's the right word that I want to use? Impact players, or but
they're great. Key performers for you.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying is they'll tell you could swap people in and it doesn't matter or whatever. I guess everybody's replaceable. Or if that's what you want to use that term, it just seems weird to me. That's all.
No, look, I get it, and I get it because of the economics of the NFL. And you saw Buffalo not only making moves in the offseason, letting a lot of guys walk, but even in the draft, trading out of the first round because they need picks to fill their roster, or at least, get good players and replacements. Dallas, we see them, letting free agents go and, making moves. Now they're not definitely paying Dak, haven't paid CD, Micah yet. So it's the finances in the NFL, and Brandon Aiyuk wants a huge contract. And so it looks like they're only going to be able to keep, at least from the scuttlebutt,
right,
is that they'll only be able to either trade Aiyuk or sign him and trade Deebo, because Deebo got paid a few years ago. And Rob, a few years ago, I thought Deebo Samuel was the best football player.
He hasn't been lately.
Just football player. Yeah, there's no measure for that, but just a guy that I envision if we had them run through a gauntlet of skills, and he had to tackle, you had to block, you had to run. What's your speed like? Can you catch? All of that. I think he would be the best. He's what I pictured when I think of a football player. Mm-hmm. But like you said, when he got injured, he hasn't really been that same player these last few years.
He was invisible.
Plus, he still gets hurt.
He was invisible in the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah. So my point is, Aiyuk had a much better season last year, and Deebo, obviously, with his versatility, he can run the ball, even though he doesn't really want to do that as much, but run the ball, and he just gives you a lot of options. But Rob, if at this point, if I have to trade one of them, I would sign Brandon Aiyuk and trade Deebo Samuel. And it's not just the production dip, it's the injuries. I'm worried about his health. He just is somewhat injury. He's not like crazy, but somewhat injury prone. And I think you still would have Aiyuk. Jawan Jennings is a really good, he's not a number one receiver. He played great in the Super Bowl, but he's pretty good. They drafted the kid out of Florida who is a good prospect. Obviously, you still have Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle. So, Rob, I don't think this would mean by any stretch of the imagination that they are not going to be a Super Bowl contender again. I think they will. And then again, what will they get? They might get, another receiver in return, or I don't know if it'll just be picks or what. But I think understanding economics, I get the situation there. And remember, they're going to, assuming he plays well next year, they might have to give somewhat big money to Brock Purdy in a year. And so I think that's what this is all about. But I think they could withstand. Of the two, I would send Deebo out the door before Aiyuk.
Yeah, I hear that plan. I just thought that you can, in the NFL, if you want to, kick the can down the road, figure it out if you really want to, and you think you have something brewing there and you have a chance to win. When you start taking away, and I get it, and replacing Chris, it doesn't mean that automatically you aren't going to be the same or you're going to be out of something, but it doesn't also mean you're going to be better or improve just because you make changes. It's a slippery slope when you're that close.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can look at Buffalo, oh, well, you got to do this and do that. Do I really feel the same way about Buffalo anymore? I don't.
No.
I don't.
But we're not talking about that type of situation.
No. But you know what I mean, right? They've
gutted a whole lot.
Yeah, they've gutted their team.
team.
Yeah. So I'm just saying, if I'm the 49ers and they start to get rid of some of the clutch key performers that have been a big part and the reason that they've been to the Super Bowl twice, in the last 5 years? When has it been? Twice in 5 years? I mean, there's a changing of the guard. Things are changing. And maybe that window, you start to think, that window, Chris, that was open might be closing or might be closed.
There also, Rob, are a lot of great wide receivers out there. And not just in this draft. There are great wide receivers all over. And you wonder, Rob, if we know that wide receiver, outside of quarterback, wide receiver has become the glamour offensive position.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It used to be running back, and all the best athletes when they're younger played running back, right? And now I think, Rob, the best young athletes are playing receiver. Right?
Because if where the money is, and they throw the football almost every down. I mean, let's just be honest.
Yep. And so there's a ton of great receivers. Like, I know they're not, everybody's not a great receiver. All right. We saw that with Kansas City. And I like what they did in the draft, getting Xavier Worthy. We saw last year, even though they won the Super Bowl, they didn't have really good receivers. But they are out there. And I think they got one in this kid from Florida. And obviously Aiyuk is somewhat special. And now at their height, Rob, if I thought Deebo, if he was still the guy he was 3 years ago, it's a no-brainer. I'm keeping Deebo. But now he's played, right? He plays a physical brand, you know what I mean? A football, about as physical as you can be for a receiver. And like we said, he runs the ball some. I don't know that he's going to, get back to that form that he had a few years ago. Here's the interesting thing, too. Buffalo being mentioned, or even New England. New England has money to burn. So I kind of could get them spending it. If you're Buffalo and they need a receiver for Josh Allen, do you pay big money to Aiyuk or go for Deebo? Or do you just say, look, we had to cut down some money. Josh Allen's big contract hasn't even kicked in yet. So let's just go with some young kids. And we got the great quarterback. We believed that, last year when we made our run, it wasn't because of a great receiver like Diggs who wasn't doing much.
And let's just say this. They did draft Chris at the top of the second round, a receiver from Florida State. They just did. So they addressed the need, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? So do you keep these young guys, or do you I mean, they're just starting. Like you said, Rob, they kicked the can down the road.
Right.
And now they're having to answer it.
No, I know. They did because they thought they had a window going. They were good for 5 years, Chris, right? Or 4 years. So when you do that and you have a chance, it just makes sense, right? You're trying to win. You're looking to win 1 Super Bowl, not 4.
Right. I'm not mad at what they did.
Right. But now you got to pay the piper, right? And I guess that's where you are.
Right.